The film begins with a harrowing image. Randy, gravely injured, writhes in pain as Jas stands over him, gun in hand. The narrative then shifts to a flashback from the previous day, where Jas is seen visiting her sister Laura in England. The sisters, reunited after a long separation, are eager to spend time together. Laura reveals that she has planned an adventurous trip for them, and after hours of driving, they arrive at a secluded cabin deep in the wilderness. After settling in, the sisters prepare for a hike in the nearby woods. They decide to race, during which Laura coaches Jas on running techniques. Their playful outing leads them to a lake, but the water proves too cold for swimming, so they retreat and begin dressing. At that moment, a pickup truck filled with men arrives, and the group begins catcalling them. Randy, the leader, invites the sisters to join them, but Laura firmly declines while Jas grows visibly uncomfortable. The sisters quickly leave, and the men drive off. Later, Jas appears troubled, prompting Laura to ask what is wrong. Jas confides that she recently escaped an abusive relationship, and the men reminded her of her painful past. She reassures Laura that she is healing and has even begun self-defense classes. Proud of her sister's resilience, Laura gifts Jas a necklace that once belonged to their father. Though hesitant to accept it, Jas eventually agrees after Laura insists. That evening, while preparing dinner, Laura explains that she used all their wine for a pie and asks Jas to drive into town for drinks. Jas obliges, leaving Laura alone at the cabin. Soon after, a vehicle arrives, and Laura opens the door to find the same men from earlier. They force their way inside, demanding to know where Jas is. Laura lies, claiming Jas left after an argument and that friends are coming to pick her up. Randy, unconvinced, grows increasingly aggressive. Meanwhile, Jas attempts to call her sister, but Randy prevents Laura from answering. Alarmed, Jas senses danger and speeds back toward the cabin. Inside, Randy threatens Laura, but she refuses to submit. She strikes him, breaking his nose, and stabs another man in the leg with a knife. In retaliation, Randy abruptly shoots her in the back of the head, killing her instantly. Panicked, the men scatter, leaving Kent behind to dispose of the body. Moments later, Jas sees the pickup truck leaving the cabin. Upon entering, she is devastated to find Laura's lifeless body. Overcome with grief, she hides when she hears movement. Kent, unable to bury the body, begins drinking in the kitchen, unaware Jas is watching. Consumed by rage, she seizes a knife and fatally stabs him, vowing to avenge her sister. Determined, Jas sharpens her blade, cleans the blood from her hands, and dons the necklace Laura gave her. She gathers weapons, loads them into her car, and sets out to hunt the men responsible. Elsewhere, Randy tends to his broken nose while his men debate their situation. One insists Randy should not have killed Laura, noting Kent's failure to call suggests something went wrong. Tension rises as they argue whether to abandon Randy. At that moment, Jas strikes again, stabbing the man Laura had injured earlier with garden shears until he dies. Fueled by vengeance, she storms the barn where the others are gathered, wielding a chainsaw. Despite their attempts to stop her, she brutally kills them one by one. Outside, Randy remains oblivious, blasting music in his car. Inside, Jas is attacked but manages to overpower her assailant despite sustaining injuries. She refuses to relent, killing each attacker in turn. The commotion finally draws Randy's attention. Entering the barn, he is horrified to find his men slaughtered. Jas disarms him, forcing him to flee, before finishing off the last survivor. Later, Randy wanders alone down a desolate road until a car carrying his friends Louis, Dave, and Charlie picks him up. Jas, watching from the woods, begins to follow. The men soon discover Jace's car, break into it, and find weapons along with her passport. Randy keeps the passport and orders them to slash her tires to prevent pursuit. He then reveals he informed a man named Jacob about the sisters, prompting Louis to question his judgment. Randy defends his decision, insisting Jacob's involvement is profitable, though his companions remain uneasy. Randy believes Jas is hiding somewhere in the woods, and the thugs decide to return to the cabin to dispose of Laura's body first. However, Jas, who has been secretly listening, accidentally makes a noise that alerts them. They cautiously advance into the woods, and Randy insists that Laura's death was an accident. He claims it is not too late to reconcile and demands Jas reveal herself. Unaware that he has walked directly in front of her, Randy is struck violently on the head with a rock by Jas, who then flees as the others chase after her, leaving Randy groaning in pain. While hiding behind a bulldozer, Jas encounters Louis. Panicked, he pleads for his life, promising not to expose her. Jas coldly reminds him that her sister did not want to die either, before knocking him unconscious and escaping. Shortly afterward, Randy finds Louis dazed. Louis lies, claiming he tripped and fell and did not see James. Frustrated, Randy orders him back to the car, insisting they stick to the plan. Meanwhile, Jas discovers her car but realizes its tires have been slashed, preventing her from following them. At the cabin, the thugs are frustrated to find no body. Randy orders Charlie and Dave to dig a grave and instructs Lewis to continue searching. Exhausted from running, Jas recalls Laura's lessons on endurance and pushes herself forward. Later, she sneaks up on the men as they dig, knocking out Dave and holding the others at gunpoint. Randy suddenly calls out her full name, revealing he has already informed his police contacts about her. Before she can shoot, Lewis ambushes her from behind, and the men overpower her. Jas awakens bound inside the house. She frees her legs but struggles with her hands until she discovers a small knife in a drawer, which she uses to cut herself loose. Hearing footsteps, she pretends to remain tied and unconscious. Lewis enters, attempting to assault her, but Jas fights back. Downstairs, Dave and Charlie hear noises and rush to investigate, only to find Lewis groaning. Jas finishes him off, then stabs Dave, sending him tumbling down the stairs. She engages in a brutal fight with Charlie, who proves stronger. Meanwhile, the injured Dave retrieves the knife from his leg and climbs the stairs. Jas gouges Charlie's eyes and locks him in a chokehold until he dies. Dave then shoots her in the shoulder and smashes her head against a table, but Jas retaliates, striking him in the groin and killing him with an alarm clock. Exhausted and wounded, Jas collapses on the stairs, tempted to give up. Yet Laura's voice echoes in her mind, urging her to persevere. Summoning her remaining strength, she disinfects her wound with alcohol and painfully removes the bullet. Soon after, Randy returns with his sinister boss Jacob and 3 other thugs. Jacob orders the men to wait in the car and reassures Randy about his broken nose, boasting of underground surgeons. Inside, Jacob scolds Randy for the chaos, warning it jeopardizes their business. Randy insists he has control. Searching upstairs, they hear gas hissing from a leaking cylinder in a closet. Jas locks them inside, stuffing clothes under the door to trap the gas. Randy attempts to shoot the lock, but Jacob warns it could cause an explosion. Outside, the waiting thugs grow uneasy and one enters to investigate. Jas ambushes and kills him. Meanwhile, Randy and Jacob struggle to breathe as the room fills with gas. Jacob fails to repair the broken valve, and Randy collapses unconscious. Downstairs, Jas confronts the remaining 2 thugs. Though outnumbered, she fights fiercely, smashing a sculpture over one man's head before stabbing him, then killing the other with a knife thrown into his chest. The toll of the violence overwhelms her, and she breaks down in tears. At that moment, Jacob appears and tases her, fastening a collar and chain around her neck. He mocks her, ordering her to obey, but Jas resists, spitting at him. He tases her again and tries to drag her away, but she seizes the chain, rips off the collar, and fights back. Though weakened, she manages to grab the taser, shocking Jacob and slamming his head against a sink. Randy arrives and accidentally shoots Jacob dead. Jas seizes the chance to escape, but Randy pursues her. She runs him over with a car, severely injuring him, yet he staggers to a barn. Jas shoots him in the shoulder, but he retaliates, dragging her by the hair into a brutal fight. Randy overpowers her, taunting that he killed Laura too quickly and intends to make her death slow and painful. As he chokes her, Jas recalls her memories with Laura, which fuel her resolve. In a desperate move, she drives her sharp necklace into Randy's throat, forcing him to release her. Fueled by rage, Jas stabs him repeatedly while shouting at him. Randy, horrified, begs for mercy and offers her wealth, but she ignores his pleas. Taking a cigarette from his pocket, she smokes as he bleeds to death. Overcome with grief, she cries for her sister. As Randy finally dies, she pours gasoline over his body and sets him ablaze. The next morning, Jas sits beside Laura's body, consumed by sorrow. She wears the necklace her sister gifted her, overwhelmed with emotion, as the film concludes.